Hello everyone, I'm M G Boulter and this is the Hudson Listening Club for my album Clifftown. I'll introduce you to everybody that's in the chat. So in no particular order, Andy Bell, producer, Helen Bell, who played strings on the album, Lizzie O'Connor, who did vocals, mandolin, banjo, drums, and all sorts of weird and wonderful things, Mr. Pete Flood, who played drums and percussion, and Mr. Thomas Lenthal on keyboards. Look at that, seamless. I was going to say with this first track, this was actually the first track we recorded in the studio, and it ended up first track on the album.
It's quite epic, isn't it? And I remember when we were recording it, we made it quite epic, and I was a bit worried that was going to be that we made it so epic that we couldn't pull any of the rest of the album back. At that point, we'd set a precedent, and that was that. You know?
This one seemed to go down really easily as well, I thought, which wasn't, what I was expecting.
This is interestingly. We're gonna have to go again. I put all the tracks into iTunes ready, and I've put all the vocal-free tracks in.
It's the only way you'll listen to it now.
It sounds great, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wonder how long we could have kept that up.
Well, what I was about to say, I think I'll just leave this in the listening club anyway because it's quite good. What I was about to say was, and this kind of applies to it. Yeah, they're all vocal frees. Was that I did a listening club with John last night, which is going out before this one with John Bowden, and we were talking about like intros, and the opening intro, I think, to the whole of his new album, Last Mile Home, and me sort of saying, oh yeah, I can't deal with intros, and like when I was being a judge on the BBC Radio 2 Young Folk Awards, that any demos that have a really long intro, straight away, and then I was just thinking, geez, that was a really long intro we put on Matt's new record. That was a mistake. Anyway, here's the actual one. Sorry to waste everyone's Sunday morning a little bit.
It's lovely though. You could listen to this over and over again.
Yeah. It's just so cinematic, this track.
It reminds me of an American Music Club song called Another Morning, the way the drums come in.
I love that.
These thoughts, they would bury you.
I really like your drum pattern on this, Pete.
I nicked it from that American Music Club act.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just straight copy.
Oh, Marie, you know it ain't so. Oh, Marie, I think you.
This is the first appearance as well of Lizzie and Tom's backing vocals together.
Stereo. The stereo. I'm going to reenact every instrument. I'm enjoying it.
Flash out into this neon to feel the warmth in the winter months, to find a heart they can write upon. Living with an ache, they see black and they see blood. Words are whispered as loud as a
And that banjo's great. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah.
when you were young and
Yeah, the banjo and where the guitar we put through, the electric guitar we put through a Leslie effects, a Leslie amp sort of speaker modulator. I really like that when it comes in with the banjo. There it is.
I love that little
you can
guitar.
hear
Yeah. I found we didn't work much on this though, like as in we didn't have to change much about it as a song for it to work in the settings. And I think that's probably why we started with it, because it was so easy to just really natural view the whole thing. And if anything, the intro and the outro and the middle section, we kind of were maybe winging the length of it a bit, just because we were like, well, it's just so nice. When do you start? When do you stop? Kind of, you know, how long? This is
I
your
remember you
Glastonbury moment. Glastonbury.
I'm still waiting for the call.
Pete's probably the only one here who's done it.
It's true.
I track your traces and I walk down your street.
How's that piano in the studio for you, Tom?
It's quite small, but it's got quite a nice sound.
Yeah.
We've done a bit of work to it over the years. Andy's tuned it.
Yeah.
He's got his
pliers.
Yeah. Allen keys. Made it further up tune. Needs a bit of repair. It's a nice sound though. It's quite warm, even though it's only got about 70 keys on it or something like that.
Got massive crack down the side of it as well.
That's it.
Nothing to do with us.
People moving it. You know what I really like on this track, I'm very proud of, is the kick drum sound. I have no idea what we use, but it's just so warm.
Yeah, you played it very well, Andy. You played it very well.
I said the sound, yeah.
It was my fuzzy beater that did it.
Yeah. It's got very warm feel.
You got that Hammond as well, which we'll come back to. That Hammond, we'll come back to that one.
So if that's ever done live, that's going to be like a sort of hands everywhere, I think, for Tom. Huh?
Oh, yeah. We'll get the Hammond there. We'll get the live piano there, stacked on top of each other.
Brilliant.
So the album, Matt.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone a bit about like the whole idea behind it and like how Midnight Movies and stuff sort of works within it?
Yeah. So the album Clifftown is a collection of songs which are sort of themed around my experiences and my take on my hometown of Southend. And the Clifftown moniker is this idea of not a mythical place or a make-believe place, but just a catch-all for any generic seaside town, suburban town that people find themselves in. And you know, most suburban places, there's not a lot going on at night, and Midnight Movies is a real crucial song to the album, because it's that the whole environment I hope that it creates is this sort of quiet suburban nowhere that you can walk around in late at night and look into people's windows and houses, but not in a weird stalkerish way. In a purely in
a spooky way.
Yeah.
I have to say, we did some videos last week, me and Matt down in Southend, and it was great. Just the whole album came to life even more to me than seeing places in here in little bits of, you know, we did a video at the Three Shells restaurant, which is quoted, and various other things. Right now.
I'm sitting drinking a coffee and a juice.
This is an interesting song, I think, because your idea for this, Andy, was to really rock it up, and this is probably, you know, the most upbeat, rockiest thing on the album.
I love the tambo there. And
I remember this being a sort of one-taker for the drum track. It was just kind of, Andy said something like, I'll just play rock. Just don't do anything. No fills, just rock.
Yeah, just
But didn't you say, Pete, as well, this was like, you never get to play like 4/4, just like, just straight.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think the thing about this one, it kind of got like rocky guitar part. Just this is brilliant. The solo is Tom.
is, I think you'd gone to make lunch or do something lunch-based, Andy. And Tom, you did about 40, 50 takes.
I think I probably did the first 20 takes and then thought I'll go make lunch.
And I remember me and Paul Ambrose, who's not here, who's the bass player on the album. I remember we just stood and watched you for about 20 minutes, just doing it again and again and again.
Yeah, it's great. That's the pocket piano that appears on pretty much any record that I produce.
It's not supposed to do that sound very easily.
No, why it took so long, yeah. But I really like the kind of rock thing, not rock thing, the kind of status quo-esque thing going on. Just to me is like so Southend, Thames Delta kind of sound. I don't know why, it just is that thing to me, you know.
I wasn't sure about this song because we did record some other songs that didn't make it onto the album, and I think this was one of the ones for me that was very much in the margins of do we keep it or not.
I love it.
I think it's a great second track because it really just, it draws you into the album. The right place to put it.
Yeah. And we did and ahh about the track order quite a lot, didn't we?
Yeah. I think that was the hardest song to place for me. And as the second, that was the one I agonised most, thinking, is that the best place to put it? Is it good as a second track?
But one
Pete,
of the
you think it was?
Pete Flood says yes.
Yes,
wow.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Confirmation. But one of the reasons I like it there is because Midnight Movies has got this kind of quite, not sweet Americana thing, but it it's so lovely. And then that just gives it a bit of, we're actually, we're in the Thames Delta here. We're not, driving across America. This is, and somebody said that to me, like this album is just, it's not trying, it's Americana, but it's in kind of English Americana, which I quite like. And title track.
Clifftown. So I think Lizzie and Tom's harmonies on this and Tom's keys are just lovely.
Their kids
when they come in.
Up to a lawnmower drone. Their kids grow old, move away from home. By seafront palisades, they're swapping smokes before they're gone. London stretches her fingers out. All these planes fly away from the roof of my house.
There it is.
Their bellies ascend all these options. We're dying to find out. Praise the Lord.
And then Paul was on double bass, and you put him in the space between the two rooms in that tiny little corridor.
The cat flap.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the city on tower.
So we actually did two versions of this.
Taxi men,
we've got
parking single file.
Because Pete doesn't play on this one, but on the other version, we've got like a 4/4 version of it. Is it? Yeah. Which is sort of straighter, and we agonised over which one to use for the album as well.
I forgot we did that.
I think they're both great. Well, the other one will go on the Hudson Club. Hopefully, there's a little bonus track,
Did they know?
That's a great version as well. I think that again, that's a hard decision.
I think there was a bit of a balance about it because it's again it had a more Americana vibe than this maybe, so it was a kind of balance on the album.
The frost in the museum.
Those strings are incredible as well.
Yeah,
good work there.
I love playing this one live. Like when we used to do it live, it's so. And when Lizzie does the backing vocals.
And also Helen and I have a special moment. I think it's this song where we'll always look at each other later on and really emotionally mouth the words to each other. See it later.
See if it happens tonight.
Yes,
this morning.
I'm sure it will. I wish Paulie was here.
Yeah, Honourable mention, Paul Ambrose.
He likes to remain mysterious.
Yeah, he does.
He does, very much so.
So this one was the one that this was the track that he did, and Paul Heaton heard it, didn't he? And
Yeah, Paul
you
Heaton
think
put
that's
this-
the story, that he liked this track and wanted to support him because of that.
Yeah. He said to me at Sheffield City Hall that it was in his top 10 songs for a particular month. He keeps lists of all his favourite songs, and he said this was in his top 10 songs of a particular month. And I just nodded because I was so awestruck that he was talking to me.
I love that line, the co-op plays an Elvis song.
Yeah.
And I did think when we were doing these videos at the weekend, if only we could get in a co-op and do it in an Elvis suit or something.
I was in one
Yeah.
earlier today. I could have just dressed up in my Elvis suit.
I wonder if
Just
that's
said.
if that's something that we should do, and we should get everybody to like perform a Matt Boulter song in a co-op with an Elvis suit.
That could be the music video.
Be up for it.
If anyone wants to send them in, hudson@hudsonrecords.co.uk. Happy
We'll
to
give you a
put
free
that one
album.
together. Free album for anybody. No, not anybody.
Who
The first
dresses like?
10.
Who dresses like?
First 10 people that send in videos of themselves sing. Maybe we could do what's that thing that's on TikTok where you have to I'm so old, where you have to like to mouth
What's
the words
TikTok?
to a
I think
song.
you're asking the wrong audience.
What's that thing where they do where they mouth the words to a song and they fake sing a song?
Lip sync.
Lip sync. Don't they do that? Do they do that on TikTok?
They do.
Matt Boulter TikTok lip syncs, but dressed as
That
Elvis.
there TikTok, that there.
The ticky-tocky.
Moving on.
This is my favourite one, this one.
Ah,
I love this.
Yeah.
Once who tried to
We filmed this outside the Three Shells restaurant last week.
we did.
Oh, nice.
never come
So it was a
back
nice
for
connection with the song
before.
and the lyrics.
There's a girl she
I love the line, "The fishes are magnificent." It's just great.
Because this was just me and you, Pete, playing on this one. I remember I was in my little room with my guitar and vocal, and then I didn't really know when you were going to come in, and you it was so nice just to, hear you come in, and we weren't really watching each other, I don't think, and I think that was putting me off by sort of seeing you moving anyway. So.
Right. I was barely playing. I was
Yeah.
sort of twitching a hand every now and again and playing a bass drum every now and again.
I love the way the sound of the drums came out on this one, actually.
And I see
With all that reverb on it, just like, yeah.
bachelor girls, they are not satisfied. Drink the devil's blood and apologize for not feeling myself. You see, I thought I'd be so much more, not older with debts I cannot.
We've also got a version of this with strings on
I
it as well,
told you I was
that Helen added, and we decided not to add them.
Sacked
That's
off.
for the B-side. That's the B-sides album.
We
No,
went,
they were brilliant.
we went because Matt was in our family bubble last summer, so we went down to Southend for a few days, and it was so hot, it was ridiculous.
All these tracks
oh my
remind me
God.
of that, though.
Yeah,
Really?
and we went to the beach, took the kids to the beach, and we went to the Sea Life Centre, and all the way round it, I was just like,
He
gotta
does
get a
not
video
know
of nights at the
what
aquarium.
he
We're gonna do it. Where are we gonna do it? And I was like, stand there, Matt, and we'll do. It took ages trying to get shots of the sharks behind Matt.
Nights at the aquarium. Oh, how
That was so hot.
long for them.
Punishingly
Nights
hot.
of aqua blue, dreams subterranean.
It's actually quite hot when we're recording this, wasn't it? I think that week
Yeah.
when
It was
we're in
May,
Wales.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think
Went swimming a few times anyway. It was definitely warm enough to do that.
Did you? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I went skinny dipping at the river down at the bottom.
I remember you
Oh,
going.
I did not
yeah.
know that.
I was massively
Great.
pregnant.
Yeah.
No.
You were
Yeah.
vomiting quite a lot, Helena, if I recall.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were not well at
I
all.
wasn't very well.
Oh. in that heat and that. Oh God.
Oh, this one was a great one to record, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because was this something that you hadn't? You have an idea already, Lizzie, on the drums?
Well, Paul came up with that. That
I cannot lie.
Paul came up with that on his double bass, like you said.
And I cannot say.
But then I took over it when we'd play it live on a drum.
And you had a big fat brush thing.
Yeah, I got to join in with Peter. It was lovely. Great.
I remember that. That was great.
It was lovely.
And you guys added loads of hand claps, which I don't think made it onto the final, but you were all like doing all that sort of polyrhythms, weren't you?
We were exhausted.
And Tom's got that lovely organ sound.
That is. I remember putting this on afterwards. I was like, I think it just needs a bit of bite on this track. And then I got you on the electric or whatever, and we turned it really loud.
And this was through that amp, wasn't it? Was it called a Little King?
The Lil King. American Lil King.
Which is the same that Richard Thompson used.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. They're worth a fortune.
Like a gunshot, it hit
Very expensive amps. Again, I think I recorded this electric just before lunch. Everything was based around lunch. I remember just laying this down pretty quick.
Quite right.
Yeah.
Do you truly know when you've done right?
Great harmonies as well there. Tom and Lizzie. Dream team.
Yeah, this is when we're going to start our death clap.
Because didn't we? This is a Nawa rhythm, isn't it? This is a Moroccan rhythm. Yeah.
I think
Is that
this
what we were
has
clapping?
I think.
I think I was just desperately clapping as fast as I could, Debbie.
Right.
You were probably doing a complex Moroccan rhythm. I was clapping.
I can't remember.
You had those metal things, you know, with like the dimples.
Oh, the cackaboos, yeah.
Yeah, I think you were.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened to them?
There might be in there somewhere.
Oh.
I think that is quite.
It'll be on the B-side.
Yeah, we want the cockaboo mix.
I think that's though one of the most interesting drum kind of grooves and stuff that I've ever had the pleasure of being part of. On not that I played any of it. On like a kind of sort of singer-songwriter album, or so it's quite complex. Well,
I love it when that happens, when you can actually smuggle in something like that, and it still works. Yeah.
And that song sounds very unusual as well, I think, compared to all the others. It's very much one that sits on its own.
So, because with all these songs, like, have you? Because you're prolific. Sorry, I'm just getting a glass of wine. You're prolific.
Yeah.
But do you, when you're writing them, are you really writing heavily about a subject, or do you just make a lot of it up in your head? Be like a
wow, Andy, that's a question.
Well, no, but like a lot of folky writers really have to have a kind of. I'm writing about
right
King Egbert in Dor in the whatever.
Stranger, that's my next song.
Well, yeah, I have taken you to the spot, but or do you just with this? Were you envisaging Clifftown and just all the different characters in it and everything like that?
I don't think I was. I think I'm always writing. I'm always writing songs, and I think just with the whole Clifftown album. I mean, because when we started this album, I had 25, 30 songs. And if you all remember, I sent you a folder with like A, B, and C, didn't I? Which was the A songs, which were the ones I thought were the best. The B, which were like, Champions League. And then C.
No, that's championship. Champions League would
See,
put
I
them
think you're going to be
above.
proud of me, Andy, using football parlance. But yeah, so I think the whole Clifftown thing came because I'd written so many songs, and then there was like, actually, there is a theme emerging from this, but I never wrote them with the theme in mind, if that makes sense. It was just something that naturally occurred, I think, or unconsciously occurred. And we fitted the theme around it later, or it became more observable later.
Yeah.
And who is the author of All Things?
Well,
is that a real person?
Well, no. So that song, I'm going to spoil the mystique now. I actually wrote that song after getting drunk on Carlsberg Export in Glastonbury, not the festival, but the actual town. And I was, in fact, Lizzie, you've done that gig with me before, and I was just in Glastonbury, and everything was speaking to me. You know, I think the ley lines were just sort of, and the Carlsberg Export just they came at a crucial juncture, and I saw everything. I saw everything in colour, and I wrote that song.
Oh, fantastic!
There you go.
You've added to the mystery. That's made it better.
And what's amazing is like there's all these reviews been coming in, and like we've been having to get them all translated because there's loads coming in from Europe, like France and stuff, and they're all saying this guy, he's better than Paul Simon, and he's better than no, he just writes songs on pissed on Carlsberg.
Yeah, there you go, the secret.
This was another quite an interesting one on the percussion.
Walked out on the feast of Stephen. We were out and up and away. Midnight black scarab black, bitter hearts in flight on the wing.
I love your when you come in here, Tom, because you made a conscious decision to go really high, didn't you?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Lizzie had taken the lower part already, so I had to.
Oh, I remember recording this.
From the bowl.
But it works lovely. I like. It's really nice that the male voice is high and the female voice. I love it.
Now snow.
Because you usually have to go low anyway, Lizzie, because I sing so high. Generally, don't I? You always take that lower part.
Yeah.
Because also when we recorded this, Liz, me and you were in the booth, weren't we, in the glass? And then that young girl walked in, didn't she? Just as we were recording this. Asking if anyone's seen her dad.
Like a ghost story, just in the bar, this bedraggled girl.
And she was dressed like a Victorian as well. So.
I do approve of the botanical references here. Very good.
The butcher's broom, yeah?
Yeah. Nice. I was like, tick, yeah. Heather, yeah. Fern. But he didn't say what species, but fennel, yeah. What kind of fennel, though? Is it hog's fennel?
We'll save that for the Hudson Club.
Every word you say I hang, sweet offering blossom in.
I was kind of worried about how we would tie, like, how this would feel, like, not just this track, a couple of tracks, because I feel like the whole track the whole album is tied together, but I was a bit worried, like, you know, this one would feel too Fleet Foxy or something, just because we put like, reverb on it, and then compare that to something like Soft White Belly. You know, with a more kind of status quo-esque rock. Wilco Johnson, let's go with Wilco Johnson. You know, but I think it does hang together like that. It works. Definitely feel like it's a bit of a journey. This side 2 of the album.
I never would have said quo for this one though.
No, not.
wanted to be an actress, but ended up entertaining.
Our favourite line to harmonise.
Calling to the kids, do you want to party? My girlfriend her from school, but soon realized
Backing vocals are
those girls
really inspired on this. They're great.
But who are we to talk?
Is this, I think this is one of the ones I got to do the backing vocals when I was at home, right?
Yeah.
Because I always just, I always just go wild, and I'm like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Now, I always feel really bad for Andy because I send about 20 a wall of harmonies.
Yeah, no, you sent some amazing stuff. I thought that when it arrived, yeah. So the whole album was done at Giant Wafer, the usual Andy Bell place that I haven't been to for probably 2 years. I'm actually going there in a couple of months, but it's like great studio to do something like this in. It's so flexible, isn't it? And then we did a few, and then just a few overdubs from home. Helen was really ill, so we ended up doing the strings at our house. And Tom came over.
New Year 2020.
Nice.
We've got to talk about this. We've got to talk about the Hammond because Tom.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it
was
out of tune
by about like a third? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
But you just had to. I tune it in your ears and then turn it up really loud.
Yeah. It was so loud. It was so weird. You'd play a chord and then you'd take your ear off and it'd be a completely random chord.
Right. Oh dear.
I remember sort of you were in that room and you'd open the double glazed door and you just hear this like in tune, out of tune, in tune. It's like,
oh my god!
But for previous Listening Club listeners, this is the Hammond that features quite a bit on the Rheingang Sisters album as well. And the weird thing was that when we did it with them, it wasn't out of tune. I don't understand. So either you were playing the wrong chords, or what? Because it just wasn't wrong when we did it with them. Apparently, there is just a screw that you can change to tune a Hammond. Somebody obviously did it in between. I'll have to learn. Get my Allen keys out.
I have no idea.
Oh, I don't recognize.
So much better though than a plug-in version.
yeah. It sounds really nice.
It's just nice to play whether it's on or off.
So nice. Eats pills.
It's also the way we worked every day, didn't we? We sort of got up, had breakfast, and we'd go into the main room and we'd all rehearse. We'd all sort of just run through a song, wouldn't we? Get a basic arrangement, and then all go off into our little bits of the studio and just try and lay it down.
I think that's my favourite way of working, to be perfectly honest. Like you and the amazing thing is, you know, the songs inside out, so you need to change something or whatever, then that's fine. But I think everybody did a pretty amazing job because you prepped everyone quite a lot, so everyone had demos. But I just love getting in that room and then jamming through something and seeing if it works and changing bits and getting a kind of basic shape and then going from there, basically. Oh, one of the children's woken up. I shall turn the monitor off.
As long as it's not
It did feel like a really nice, easy session.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'd done a session at Rockfield a couple of months before that wasn't nearly as easy. And you know, it was fine. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't easy. And I kind of come to this going, oh God, the studio again, and it's midsummer, and I'd love to be outside more, and I don't really want to be in the studio. And actually, it was just completely lovely and painless, and you know,
Oh, I'm pleased to hear that.
I
Pete.
think that, and I think the. So I've done a couple of podcasts for Hudson Records at the moment, and I did a thing for Radio Sheffield as well the other day, and it's like, you could get the impression from those podcasts that I am very lazy and don't work very long hours, because the way everyone was talking was like, oh yeah, we kind of get up, have a bit of breakfast, then we start work, and we just kind of, yeah, and then like lots of breaks for tea, and then we have like a nice dinner, stop for dinner, and then we don't often go back in after dinner. Sometimes we go back in, but we might go in and have a bottle of wine and listen to the album, listen to the tracks, but we don't really. And I was sat there when I was having these conversations, and it was coming out my mouth as well at that time, and I was like, hang on, I work really long hours. I'm like, this is not. But I think that's the secret of a kind of good, a great session, and something that's relaxed and easy, and why the songs happen is just because it's just so much less pressured, isn't it? If you've got time, you have lots of breaks, you have like a good vibe, energy. You can get, like you're saying, drum take, first take, or whatever, or because you're not stressing that you've had to do it 50 times to get it to force something that doesn't want to work, basically, you know.
I think as well, I think the way you work, Andy, just to make your head get bigger, but I think, you know, sometimes you, as a musician, as the performer, I never really understand all the mic placements. You've got like 5 microphones or 4 microphones in front of my guitar. And you prep that room, you prep those rooms a lot. You know, that first day, we don't get a lot done in terms of recording, do we? You very much spend at least 4 or 5 hours, if not more, prepping the whole studio. So that then we, as the musicians, we're just focusing on the performance, and then we can all talk about, you know, whether a song's too fast or whether it needs to go down a key or whatever, rather than, actually, the snare drum doesn't sound quite right, we just need to shuffle that, you know, we get that. Yeah,
that is pure laziness as well, in the fact that, like, shove up as many mics as I can, get as many options as I can, and then later, and then the options are like there, aren't they? And it's just kind of like, you know, if you want to flick to the room mics for a thing, you've got them, and you don't have to faff around in between a take. So it makes it quicker once you're actually up and running, which means we can have more tea breaks, basically.
Oh, you're doing yourself down, doing us all down.
Well, I'm back in the studio next week for the first time in ages, so who knows how it's going to work then. Like, that's going to be fun.
Another great drum one.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Another smuggled exotic beat. This one's from Mali, I think.
Is it?
Oh,
it has got that kind of swing sort of to it, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a Ngoni player called Alou Fane. Yeah. Stole it from him.
It's lovely.
And you're on baritone guitar on this, I think.
Yeah. Reliving me teenage days. But when Andy first said to us, play the baritone guitar, so I was like, just looked at them, and I picked one up and came over and sat down and was like, that's a bass, Lizzie. I was like, oh yeah, I know.
Friends grew up around him, this suburb is dying.
Hammond.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
It's all lies, he realizes as he struggles to come home from work late.
Yeah. Didn't get much airing on this album.
True.
And is it wrong to think that he is wasted? All those sweet dreams yet to be tasted out here on the London road. It's raining.
That reference to Neil McSweeney's The Road.
Of course. Hammond sounds great, Tom.
It's interesting because apart from maybe the pocket piano solo in Soft White Belly, there's not tons of like lead solos. Like a lot of them, it's just a melody, on the electric, or a bit of nice swoop in the pedal or whatever. I like that.
Ruled by convention in these modern times. just
I
like
think this might be.
we're born and then we die.
We should probably give Paul a mention since he's not here. And,
Blasphemy.
I think this might be one of the only ones he did on electric. Actually. Electric
Yeah,
bass.
this and Soft White Belly, I think, were the only two.
They can burn for all I am.
And he used that precision bass, didn't he, that was in the studio, I think.
Never stood up for me.
And then, Pete, you added this disco beat, didn't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
The disco beat. On the second
Coming
beat.
up.
The hi-hat, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
The hi-hat. Not an overdub.
No,
Not an overdub.
You've just reminded me of one that I've just realised didn't make the album. And I think was one of the ones I was so excited about, where Pete did the now you recorded it through something funny, so it sounded like a drum machine.
Oh,
that's Old Demons.
Yes.
yeah, it sounds
Did I do
great.
that?
There's two tracks that didn't make the album. There's Old
What's
Demons
his name?
and
Come
what's
Back.
his name? Come Back, yeah.
Which Pete
Oh,
played
yeah.
that sort of upside down cow churning
Yeah.
device.
Did I?
You did.
What are you talking about? I've never done that in my life.
Yes, there is. There's a cow. Yeah, there's like a milk
Is it?
churn. Yeah. Like a stool, isn't it? Yeah.
It looks like
Wow.
it's made out of human flesh. It looks like something out of a horror
Yeah,
movie. You just
yeah,
like found it in a cupboard. You were like, oh, I'll get this.
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
I think Come Back was a bit too. Well, no, that nearly made it on in the end, but we and ahed and like it kind of ruled it out to start off with, and then it kind of came back. And then Old Demons, it sounds great. It's a really cool track. Maybe it'll make it onto like Hudson Club or something. But the it had that was one that Paul played the bass on a little Korg bass synth, which sounded great, which was
Yes.
total pain in the ass because you couldn't get it in time. And then we were trying to get that in time with like the pocket piano and
Mhm.
and Tom's pocket piano doesn't have like MIDI sync or whatever, so it was like this analog little knob that we're turning to try and match. We've now got one that's got MIDI sync, so we could probably do that now. But yeah, but they just didn't. That one, Old Demons, sounds amazing, and Helen did some amazing strings on it. It doesn't. It didn't quite fit with the album, did it? I think it was a good decision not to put that one on.
Maybe
Come
you
back.
can
Yeah, I
definitely
agree.
Send it to us.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy.
Secret listening club.
Secret listen,
Yeah.
the bonus episode. Fan of the Band is my best mate Ben's favourite track, by the way. Yeah, few people have said that. So.
Well, that sounds great through headphones.
Yeah.
Is that Singing Bowl or something that
That's
you have?
Lizzie.
Or is that
No, that's Lizzie.
Is
Yeah.
it?
What am I doing?
I don't know, you've got some kind of bell.
I was on a quest.
But it is
for
a
the head
symbol.
of the priest.
So what's this one about?
So I left.
So there is right. Well, what is this about? So I went on a trip to find a skull of a former Archbishop of Canterbury called Simon of Sudbury, who was beheaded in 1381 on Tower Hill in London. And someone saved his head, and they took it back to his church in Sudbury in Suffolk. And they still have the skull there in the church. And it just sits in an alcove. And they nailed his bishop's mitre to his forehead back in 1381. And the skull still has a hole in the forehead where they nailed his hat to his forehead. And it's kind of about a lot of other things as well. But that's the sort of setting for this song.
Very suburban seaside.
Yeah. Well, this is the trip. This is the trip outside of suburbia.
It's brilliant at evoking the kind of landscape of Essex. Yeah.
Looks so very
Something that's very
I hope
much
so.
about sort of small fields and kind of ditches and hedgerows and elms.
Yeah.
There's lots of elms in this song.
I'm glad you got that, Pete, because that's what I was trying to go for.
Good.
I love the little kind of wooden Glock thing that you play in, Pete, on this.
It's goat bells.
Yeah, I remember those. You had them marked out, didn't you?
Yeah. There's Becky goat bells.
And they rise.
And then Tom, what are you doing? You had like a sub thing on your keys that sort of builds up that pressure.
Oh
like
yeah.
here.
No, that's on a pocket piano. I think you were just slowly opening an envelope on the pocket piano.
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah.
And then maybe we put a sub
releasing
in
the note.
I love this bit of my car. It makes me feel like my car's about to explode. All the windows start rattling.
I remember that pedal steel was one of the last things we put on while we were in the studio as well. That was like, we had sort of about 10, 15 things to do. I remember we had the whiteboard, Andy, and you were...
Does it not
right, quickly
like the
do this.
whiteboard,
Do
yeah.
this.
feel so?
You should get a whiteboard at home, really. I like having a
Those
whiteboard.
embroidered saints' eyes upon us. And who knows next where we
I remember listening to this like the first mixes. I went for a walk in like lockdown 1 up in the Peak District, like on White Edge, and I was just walking along with my headphones on. There was lots of people kind of walking past, and I was just like, it's brilliant, like no one's in my world at all, like this is great, it's epic. Like all the tension at the beginning of the track.
The other people that feature on this album, but I can't remember where, and I think it's maybe because Lizzie and Lucy have similar sounding voices, but Lucy Farrell sings on this album as well.
I have
And
a feeling she might be the one on Clifftown,
She
when I listened
did.
to it, I was like, oh, I don't remember
maybe
singing
she
that.
did some.
And there's a little inflection. I was like, oh, I think it's Lucy on that one.
And Neil McSweeney as well. Neil McSweeney put
Yeah.
some BVs, but again, I can't remember where.
I think Lucy did Clifftown Remnants, which is to come, and Pilot,
Oh, that's
which is to
lovely,
come. And Neil did Pilot, I think, and Remnants, maybe. I don't know. I can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
Remnants. So towards the end of the album.
It's a real like Hudson family affair, which is great, And I mean, the reason me and Matt met was because of Neil, really, wasn't it? I remember Neil saying to me,
Absolutely,
"Oh, there's this guy called Matt Boulter. He's a great songwriter. You should check him out and stuff." And then I don't know how we actually first met, but I did your last
I
album,
remember.
so didn't I?
I remember the first time we met was I came up on the train to Sheffield because we would
ever I saw
your
face.
and it was we were recording Cargo with Neil McSweeney.
Yeah.
And Neil said, "Oh, we'll pick you up from the station." I remember coming off the train at Sheffield station with my lap steel. Neil met me on the platform, and then we walked to your car, and then you bezzed it up the hill.
See it at Beaver. Yeah.
Yeah. And then sat me in a booth and shouted at me for 5 hours. You didn't. You didn't.
And
You
you thought,
didn't.
I'll do an album with him. No, we had great fun doing your last album as well, like
Yeah.
with Wolves. That was really good fun, and had some great.
And no
people
one-
on that as well.
And no one ever talks about your Shopska salad that you make, Andy. That was
No
one of the things that convinced me to work with you. Was that Shopska
barbecues. I
salad
was just
that you
saying to
make.
Lucy, Matt's very. Just on the phone yesterday, Matt's very easy to please with his food, and a Shopska salad. Oh, you don't get them in Essex, and you just get cockles.
Only ever cockles.
Only cockles in Essex.
Even inland. If you go inland,
Yeah.
just slightly smelly cockles.
Cockles, donuts, and ice cream. That's all you get in Essex. Yeah, that's it. So, no, but it was a nice sort of journey, and we did an EP in between that album and
Yeah.
this Blood Moon at the Fisherman's Chapel in Lee, and
Yeah.
few of the-
So
few
it was
of the
with
bits
Wolves,
of
the
that.
Lamb Will Lie, wasn't it? And then the
Yeah.
EP.
Yeah.
Night worker, doing your rounds. The lights on the office block burn as you drown. The thoughts of the morning in humble industry. The gate of your walk in this moonlight.
I remember when we did this one. So Tom, you were leaving. You had to go, and we had to get this song down. And I remember me and you sat in the same room, and I was literally sitting over your shoulder, singing and playing, and sort of.
It's really nice. All the other tracks have been contained in another room, away from people, and then finally, you want to play at the same time?
And you were literally about a metre away from each other, both.
Yeah. And I remember we hadn't really written this song, so you were like looking at me and the guitar to see which chord changes were going to happen and when.
And then there's a classic ooze in the background, and
Yeah. Which is you, isn't it, Andy? You and Tom?
there's some of me on there. I think it's maybe me and Tom doing it.
Captain,
I should get my
I love this fiddle
PPL
song.
registered for that.
the salt in the air.
And the fiddle solo coming up is really nice.
Kiss like an angel.
This is one of my favourites, I think. This track.
Yeah,
Just-
it's very pogsy. I like it.
Yeah.
Singing
Yeah.
I don't know why it's
the
pogsy.
sky is like a blanket all over the street, and the river is like a ribbon rolling out to the sea, and nobody loves you, maybe nobody hears. When it rains, it falls in.
Fiddle solo from
Here we
the top
go.
from the top of our stairs. We started this.
Is that like a drone string, Helen?
And a bit of double stopping.
Neptune, Neptune, high on your wall, you survey your kingdom with its squalor and all. With your great marble eyes, and you see creatures near, you love each like your child, and you hold them dear.
Nice.
It's lovely, lovely piano on that, Tom. Like,
Yeah.
I remember us having a conversation about the sort of country,
Mm.
little country inflections and stuff on there. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful.
You did well. You did well, Tom.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I've got to admit, I can barely remember recording this. This is like the blank spot for me.
Miss you in the morning.
Was I even there?
This wasn't Giant Wafer though, was it?
Yeah.
Was it? I thought
We
this
were
was
all
the
there.
one.
Forest.
Isn't this the one that you did with
No,
Phoebe?
that is the last one. You play this one.
You alright?
This is you, Pete.
Clearly, Pete can't remember either.
Yeah, I love the drums on this one as well.
Oh, this is the
Nice soft mallet-y kind of.
Okay, yes, I remember now.
I remember you recording this. I remember lying on the sofa, like still feeling ill. But it's quite a soothing track to listen to. Like,
Well, I'm making a whole album of mallet drum solos, so you know.
oh, that sounds right up our street.
Let me know when it's ready.
Tiny magic.
Sounds like one that Hudson should sign.
Definitely, it's right up your street.
Camera came along
You'll kick yourself if you miss it.
after you set it down to sleep.
This is Lucy on here.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's dead. I only noticed the double tracking the other day. It's lovely.
It's kind of almost whispered. Yeah.
Great string arrangements again. Great piano. That sort of clipped, spidery playing. It's lovely, Tom.
the turn of pace here.
My loving arms, simple as bone. Forgive.
I think Helen's strings really help that. Actually.
Yeah.
That's Neil's great VV.
Neil.
Yourself,
Oh, yeah.
for it is known.
Bass solo.
Paul's double bass is really nice. The line on this is really nice.
The victim was right. They judge us from great heights.
I think you're double tracked all the way through this yourself as well, actually.
Yeah.
I think you're one side, Lucy's the other, and then you're down the middle.
There were a couple of songs we did, didn't we, where we double tracked vocals.
Your remnants killing all.
I think this is one of my favourites, actually. I love it. It's got such a nice feel to it.
Your
Melancholy. I do love a bit of melancholy.
you are to
I think the strings kind of lengthen it out, don't they? It's,
on
they sort of pull it taut a bit.
remnants killing all you see.
What's this one about, Matt?
I can't even remember recording it, let alone writing it. And I wrote this a really long time ago. I probably wrote this in 2014, 2015. And I think I got the idea from this one that someone I was with at the time had a camera and they were like, oh, I didn't know these photos were on here. And it was this idea that your life could be contained within a camera and you might not remember it, if that makes sense. And so it's sort of accessing things that are not fully present in the real world.
A bit like
And,
living through social media.
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose, Andy, yeah.
I was
And-
going to say,
and-
a bit like making a record and not remember recording the track.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think it's worth pointing out that we did record this album back in 2019 before the pandemic.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So we've had sort of like a year's break from
It took a while to kind of come out, didn't it? And talking of photos, the photos in the album are amazing, aren't they? Like in the
Yeah.
in the booklet and all that. Like that is that now Jamie Oliver's coffee shop on Southend?
No, I think
Oh, it's
it might be Roberto's, but it
The
might
next
be the
one
Jamie
along.
Oliver. Yeah.
Next one along.
So you're lucky you don't raise that with Paul here, because Paul thinks the Jamie Oliver coffee is better than Roberto's coffee, and I wholeheartedly disagree with him. But I think it's because the Jamie Oliver has a little alcove you go in to get the coffee, and he likes going into the alcove. So
Yeah.
that's another Hudson Listening Club for you, everybody. That's
Paul's
a round table debate.
Yeah.
Paul's next week on his own on this album.
So, Paul, why do you like going into the alcove?
But the guy who did the tell us who the guy is that did the photos.
Yeah,
Because we were like not struggling, but we were trying to. I can't even open this. You've got fingernails.
I've got one pre-prepared.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Like the guy, we were looking at photos, and we had some nice photos of you, but we didn't have anything that really represented Clifftown, did we? But then
No, so this is a local photographer and musician, fantastic musician and fantastic photographer called Stephen Collins. And Stephen is in a band called The Owl Service, and he's in another band called Greenvine. And he takes these stunning photographs of Southend and places he goes to across the country. And I think the approach they call it new topographics, which was a 70s or a 60s, 70s term, where some photographers of the time would take pictures of buildings at oblique angles. And what Stephen's photographs are, they are photographs of buildings that you would know. If you live in Southend, you would know them. But by looking at the photo, you're like, where on earth is that? And it's because he takes them at angles and at views that people don't usually see. And I think, you know, this front cover is of the Olympia, which is one of the arcades on the seafront, and you wouldn't normally see it like this, because when you're actually at the arcade, you're underneath here, so you're never looking up. But it's such a beautiful building, and we were struggling, weren't we, I think, to know what to do for the front cover. And you know, Stephen's photos, just I'm aware of them, and
we
just
could
asked him.
Yeah, we could have chosen so many. He had so
Yeah.
many good photos, really, like amazing photos, and I think quite a few people have commented on the cover actually, and the image, and like I mean, again, like when we were there the other day doing some films, I was trying to get you to do a film in front of some of these arcades, but you're a bit resistant, you know, just because there's lots of people around. But I love the kind of slight irony of like Olympia and the one that says Las Vegas and the Monte Carlo ones, and just like the slight irony that it's slight. I'm not saying Southend
tacky.
I'm not saying Southend's tacky, but there's a slight
You
run
heard it here
down.
first.
There's a run down. There's a rundown element, and that kind of the irony of that is really beautiful, I think, as well. You know, but we didn't get one. Maybe we'll get one in the summer or something. Go down. We had like 2 mornings of getting up at 5:30 to go and film on the beach in Southend, and I don't think we could manage another morning at 5:30. So
I was really worried, because the second morning we went to the beach at Thorpe Bay, which is just sort of east of Southend, and we were playing Soft White Belly, and it's the easiest chord. It's an E major chord, and it was so cold that I couldn't even play an E. My hands couldn't even, like the pressure. I had absolutely no gauge of what pressure I had.
It was beautiful sunny morning, but it was so cold. It was ridiculous. And then we were recording, and Matt was like playing away, and like he was just starting to get it. And then these 2 people turned up, and out of about 250 beach huts along the whole seafront, they arrived at the one beach hut next to where we were filming and recording at 7:30 in the morning, and they got out their rakes and then started raking the gravel in front of their hut, presumably to get rid of the shells. I have no idea what they were doing.
It made no sense, because it's a tidal beach. So they were there, and there was just a big hump of shells and shingle. And they just were brushing it away, which would then, when the tide comes in over the next few days, will just bring it back.
They had multiple rakes.
Yeah,
not just one rake. More than one rake. I mean, you know, what more evidence do you need?
I mean, at that point we gave up and went and got a butty, but that's the Las Vegas image. I think that's so cool. Like, and Sunspot. I just the irony is just brilliant. I love it.
I love the screen print as well that you've had done, that goes with it as well, and it just kind of goes with the album so well. Like the whole thing ties together. It's just it's beautiful.
Yeah,
we've got a copy.
Yeah, we got number 2.
Number 2.
He wouldn't give us number 1. But. So last track on the album is a bit of a different one, because this track was the kind of was recorded in the founding moments of Hudson Records, which is pretty amazing. Like in 2016, I think. Yeah, in January, we, like the first weekend in January, loads of us went to Giant Wafer, and I just booked the studio and thought, let's just ask people if they want to come for a weekend and hang out, and you know, just bought a load of food and drink, and we just all went and hung out for 3 or 4 days, didn't we? And said, record what you want, do what you want. Rob Harbron was on the decks doing his thing as well, and like doing bits of producing, and it was great. And there was a few interesting tracks came out of that. There's a Lucy track, Ush as well, the wife of Ush as well. which we might put on the Hudson Club. Actually, I've said that quite a lot, but there's a lot of spare tracks kicking around. And
Neil did one, didn't he?
Neil did a great one, but then he was really affected because it was the week David Bowie died, and he really was affected, and he had to go home, I think.
Tom wrote one.
Tom wrote one, yeah.
We were writing one.
It was really nice, and so
really productive,
and
just
kind
a great laugh as well.
Yeah, and then kind of out of that was like the whole idea of putting Hudson together kind of happened actually. So this, I suppose this track is quite a big deal really for me, not for most people, but certainly for me and Helen.
And for me.
For me and Helen is a big deal because it's like it's one of the sort of starting moments of our record label, I suppose. So yeah. I like to call it Pilates, not Pilot.
And sorry to go on about the Hudson Club, but I've just done an interview with Jenny Sturgeon about this song.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, whole podcast about that. About this track.
About this track, yeah.
Lost in a summer night.
So you've got Rob Harbron on electric bass.
He loved
Tom,
that. He absolutely loved getting to play electric bass. But I'm so cool all of a sudden. None of this stuff.
Oh, it's just so nice recording that whole string section.
Sam, was it Sam?
Such a nice line.
Yeah, you, Sam Sweeney, Charlie, and Lucy, maybe.
Lucy, yeah. It is lovely.
Just
Rich Warren on guitar, on his lovely 64 Jazzmaster.
Neil's vocal. And we actually added the guitar is a nylon in the end, isn't it? We added that as an extra in the end.
And you got Toby Kearney on drums and Jack McNeil on clarinet, which was lovely because a lot of those musicians played on my previous album with Wolves, the Lamb Will Lie, and it was nice to have that.
Yeah, and then we sacked them off on this one, so we thought we should
to get the dream team.
It's kind of Japanese, that strings line. It's lovely. That
Yeah.
And a lot of the swirling stuff in the background is actually Tom triggering like vocoder, vocoder kind of effects that we were feeding.
Oh, really?
I can't remember, we were feeding something into it. Maybe it was the strings, and then you were vocodering them. And
Was it that
was a long
session?
time ago.
It was a long time. I got told I'm not allowed to do any vocoding anymore. Anyway, you've.
Why? More vocoder.
Well, there was a time when I'd try and put it on every record.
You know what? I'm going to vocode all your... Everything you say from now on this thing, I'm going to vocode.
That's fine with me.
That's fine with me. Beautiful.
That's a nice symbol that Toby's got there. I want that symbol. I got symbol envy.
Yeah. You get a job for the CBSO, you know, you can probably afford that symbol, B. I love Rich's guitar on this. It's classic Rich.
So how are you with outros, Andy? I know you hate intros, but
Nah, I don't hate intros. I just like them short. No, that's nice. It's nice.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a lovely outro.
It's a great way to end the album, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not too lyrical heavy, is it, that song? And I think that end bit is just a nice coda to the whole album. Like, I'm gonna shut up now and let some music come through.
Well,
that's it. That's Clifftown, everyone.
I think that's great. Beautiful album. Listen to that all day.
Yeah.
But I think it's, it's testament to the brilliant musicians that were on it. And, I can say for myself that you guys just made it what it was. It was absolutely, fantastic. I couldn't have wanted more.
Well, it's brilliant songs as well. We didn't know what we were doing, and we wouldn't have managed anything without lovely songs.
Yeah, I think you're a very special songwriter, Matt.
Oh, thanks, Andy.
Here.
And if anyone who's watching this hasn't listened to your podcasts, they definitely should, because if you want to journey through Clifftown, they're absolutely amazing. Like, just to take you away into a different world. Really lovely thing to have alongside the record, actually.
Yeah, thanks. I've really enjoyed doing them. I think they've taken me over a bit, but it's keeping me out of mischief.